not inviting me, and it's completely irrational and ridiculous. But it's that.
And then how do you pop those thoughts?
They either die down, or I'll get a phone call from someone saying, "Do you want to do something?" Like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Or if that doesn't happen, I will eventually reach out to somebody and like, "Oh, where have you been? I'm waiting for you to call me." Not being proactive and sitting and allowing myself to drift.
So something, as you say, they might stop you from then reaching out to them, perhaps.
Yeah. Excuse me while I...
Okay. Oh, now we have a lot of dogs on the scene. I know.
Executive producers.
They are the executive producers, and I think they were just cheering us on. So in terms of thinking about the different coping strategies that all three of our guests use, which I'm just thinking about, Brad was like that, sort of preparing. Brandon was kind of having control of the day and knowing.
So this is a question that I had for you.
Things. Yeah.
When Brandon was talking about distracting herself, so she was saying when she was keeping herself busy, she didn't use the word distraction, but she said when she was keeping her mind occupied and going to the gym and doing lots of work and distracting herself from her anxiety. Do you think that's a healthy coping mechanism or not?
I think it works. I think it's again, Brandon was super clear about it. That's what works for her. And I think that's the great thing. She's found something that really she's able to manage for herself, and that keeps her on track. I think other people will find other ways about finding time just to download and needs more time. I think which Brandon did actually speak about and saying about people having a nap or resting. And so I think it's finding the thing that works for you, and it might not be the textbook kind of answer. It's finding what works with your body, your brain, because we're all so unique, basically. I mean, of course, there's been loads of studies done, loads of different reports, and it's great. I mean, they talk about breath work, helping with anxiety, so they're doing lots of things about how we can calm, bring our heart down, moderate our breath in a way that gives our exhales and our inhales that they're longer, which will then communicate to our brain that we're in a safe space. So things like meditation, for some people they can't bear it, but for some people they really might find that so helpful for them to meditate once a day. Studies have shown that doing yoga twice a week is so good for the body and the brain. And again, it brings in some really good calming chemicals into the body. So it's really finding what works, what techniques work for you.
Yeah, because I was in my mind with the distraction. Should you be tackling it head on like Brad did, or it's just very different.
It's so different, isn't it? And I think that's it. It's that thing of like, you could do it this way, or you could do it that way, and it's finding that we're all looking for ways to manage our lives better, aren't we? And I think what might work one time might not work another time, of course. We may do something that works really well. Sorry to be, it won't. That's it. Things, our bodies change. We think of our bodies are amazing. Think of all the chemicals we have in our brain, the hormones we have running through our bodies. This is all naturally produced. So, of course, what we eat, what we drink, exercise, the air, they're all going to have an impact on our body, our chemical balance in a sense. So, of course, what works one time, our bodies might be different another time, in terms of hormone changes in the body. I think, let's say, women in particular, women when they're going through HRT, that's a new one, when they're menopausal or perimenopausal, women before their periods, all those times of life when they're pregnant.
I'm horrific. That's actually what before premenstrual I suffer anxiety and anger. and everything else, every emotion, but subtly, so I may not even realize that I'm being that person until afterwards, and I go, oh dear Leah, you've made a right ass of yourself this time, haven't you?
But that's the power of hormones, isn't it? It's massive. And in my work, I guess I think a lot of my work with, let's say, I've worked with young women, maybe 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. In terms of their hormones, they play such a massive part, I think, on anxiety. And I always, when working with people with anxiety issues, women in particular, I'll say it's helped to track, just track your periods, because that can really help you see when your anxiety might be bigger, and actually then being able to say to yourself, it's all right.
It's just my body.
It's just my body again. This month.
Yeah. No, it's really, really interesting to hear all three of the guests talking about their experiences, and all so different, which was, again, as you're saying, everyone's coping strategies are going to be different, because everyone's anxiety is different and everyone's body is different, and you can't hear one person give their story or know how you suffer and just assume that everyone else is going to be the same, because it's.
And when we have these, we all have the diagnosis, but the DSM and which people use to diagnose anxiety and all the different types. But of course, people's experiences will be different. So yes, we can. There is the umbrella, and it's helpful to have the diagnosis, because it does sort of give people a list of the potential symptoms and what might be helpful. But people are also individual, so that's the big key part in all of this.
No, that's it. And to remember that if you do suffer from anxiety, one of the most important things you can do is reach out for support, whether that is through a friend or a loved one, or go to see a professional for therapy or counselling. All three of the guests have someone to reach out through. All three of our guests either have been in therapy or are in therapy, and I think that's something that's really, really important as well to talk about your anxiety, because you need to communicate how you're feeling. And
I think because anxiety on some level is a natural thing that we all feel.
Yes,
it's when it becomes overwhelming, when it becomes a bigger beast in a sense, and so everyone experiences it sometimes.
Absolutely.
I think we're bringing part 4 of our anxiety set to a close.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. If anyone has any questions about anxiety or anything else that we talk about in our shows, please do reach out. You can contact us through the website, or you can visit our Twitter, which is pineapple_YSW. We're also on Facebook, which is facebook.com/pineapple.yoursafeword. Or you can just drop us an email at contact@pineapplesupport.org. We'll be happy to answer any questions or help out or talk to you about fundraising. Thank you again so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it, and we hope you'll listen to our next podcast. Again, if you want any more information on Pineapple Support, you can visit the website, which is pineapplesupport.org.
Thanks, everyone.